Hello everyone, Russell Wright from Network Empire and ThemeZoom.com. This is the much awaited official public release about the SkyFall update. We have codenamed this change on the search engine's Google SkyFall update. It's been a little bit controversial. Today we found out that we've got press releases about this topic far and wide. Part of the reason that we have this kind of notoriety or this kind of buzz is because we don't easily say that there's a major change with an update. We have been the ones who generally say it's overhyped or overblown. This one struck right at the heart of many of the things that are taught in the SEO industry and undermines a lot of the preconceived notions that a lot of SEO and even advanced security experts have on SEO and the rest. So I've got Sue Bell, CEO and military level software architect, and SEO prodigy Jimmy Kelley on the call with us tonight. And we're going to be covering, we've been talking for several hours, and so we're going to be covering what this actually is and what to expect with this, and we're going to be providing you with a open review of our opinion about what this is. Thank you so much, Sue Bell and Jimmy Kelley, for being present with us on this public release of the SkyFall update.
Thanks, Russell. Appreciate it. It's good to be here tonight. So I want to open with an example of what happens when you surf on the web. This is Lightbeam, which is a plugin for Mozilla, and I installed it last night, and I've been playing around with it today. And I've just let it run and collect data while I've been doing what I do. And today I visited 52 sites. And in the course of visiting these 52 sites, 365 third-party sites have been made aware of the fact that I visited those sites. So pieces of information were updated, some kind of communication was had, and my presence was tracked across 365 different sites. That's 7 times more than the actual number of sites that I visited. So when you look at this graph, the sites that I visited are the circles, and the sites that were informed with pieces of information are the triangles. So you can see that just by hitting Amazon alone, there's, I don't know, what, 20 triangles there? So,
Yes.
so this is just to give you a feel for the kind of information that's going on behind the scenes when you browse the internet.
Absolutely. So your purpose of showing us this information, Sue, and again, over the past few years, you've always constantly warned me, since we started ThemeZoom in 2006, about the degree of stuff going on behind the scenes. What you're seeing here is just the consumer version of the web browser. You're not even seeing all the weird stuff that goes on at the server level. This is just a general, one site informs this other site that you've been there, and all the data is swapped and shared for whatever reason, and or APIs are being pulled and so on and so forth. Your point to show us this is how much information is available at the coding level if somebody knows how to use it and how they might use it, and which speaks a lot to the upcoming things you'll be discussing with the new patents.
Exactly.
Got it.
So we're actually looking at 2 different patents today. Either of the patents alone would be enough to make you go, oh darn.
Right. And I'm not gonna repeat some of the things that you have said, that you and Jimmy have said over the last 4 days. You know, it's been kind of funny because there's been a few people out there. Is the SkyFall, isn't that a little overhyped? And you know, we took this to a long webinar with our closest certified advisor, Sue.
Yeah.
And only one person said it was sort of, you know, we might want to pull back on that. But the rest of them were like, well, I would actually, it might be a little bit more extreme. So it was kind of interesting.
Exactly. So the reason this is extreme is because it hits at the heart of the way most people promote their sites when they're trying to get rankings. So most common SEO practices today are going to be impacted by these patents.
Yes, gotcha.
So I'll talk a little bit about the first one.
Just to clarify for our audience, Sue, this patent, the SkyFall update is not just one single patent, right? It's a combination, or will you explain?
Yes,
exactly?
It's 2 different patents.
Okay.
And in this video, we're going to talk exclusively about just one of these patents. So the one that I feel is the bigger of the two. So this is the patent, and I have to admit, like, it's long and it's boring to read.
Right.
So I'm going to get to the heart of what it is that it's talking about, and give you guys the number if you want to go look it up and read it for yourself.
Okay.
So what this patent does is, I actually have an image here that describes it a little bit better. What this patent is doing is looking for a multitude of different ways of finding a footprint that could be interpreted as linking structures. So they're looking for, when they're looking at a site, they back up and they look at all of the inbound links to that site and all of the documents that hold those inbound links, and they collect those documents into like-minded documents. So they associate those documents together in groups. And there's a number of different ways that they go about looking for these footprints to create that association. Okay, so we actually point
Right.
out all of the different ways over here that they're now looking for these associations. Okay, so they talked in this update about, or in this patent, about LANs and about WANs and about PSTNs. They talked about the intranet. They talked about the internet. They talked about your IP connection. They talk even specifically about components within your computer.
Wow.
They talk about. They talk about.
Can you say 1984?
Yeah, right. They talk about the. No, this is actually 2014. This
I
is
know.
30
I know.
years beyond.
Whoops. He missed it a bit.
Right.
Orwell missed it by just a little bit.
Or this is even worse, right? All right, so that they talk about the traffic to the documents, they talk about the linking structures between the documents, they talk about associated host name similarities between host names of these documents, they talk about the actual ownership, and this could be implied to be maybe Google ownership or ownership by email. And then they also talk about how deep that they're looking, and they specify that they're looking 3 levels deep for associations within linking documents.
So 3 levels deep goes all the way in potentially. Is the MAC address the 4th level in your idea, Sue, or?
No. So I'm talking about, like, when you're looking at linked data.
Right.
So like
4 layers of data.
So you've got this site here, which links. This site links to that. So that's one hop back. This is a second hop back, and this site doesn't actually link back from anywhere. So this is 2 levels back, right? So they're taking in tiered linking structures 3 levels deep.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
That's really kind of what blew Jimmy's mind. Like when we were talking to him about what was going on, I just noticed that was quite an impact for him when you guys were talking.
Exactly. In fact, he's been very quiet. Do you want to say anything at this juncture, Jimmy?
No, I'm pretty good for now.
Yeah.
All right.
Because he's watching the Evil Empire Stormtrooper videos from Star Wars.
Right. I think that should be our official release.
He's watching the Stormtroopers twerking video as a response, the official response to the SkyFall update. Because it actually is kind of funny. We've been laughing for a while. Even though it's a public release, we like to have fun a little bit. Sometimes things are so ridiculously powerful, and the insight that we've gleaned with our team is so crazy that we just have to laugh. So we spend a lot of time having some fun. So continue on this thread, Sue. This is amazing. This is mind-blowing.
Well, okay, so let's just get into a little bit of the detail at the moment. The kind of traffic that they're talking about to the documents is the traffic to the documents. So let's say this is also where it combines with the other patent.
Yes. Because
it's looking at how much traffic can you have to a document? How many inbound links can you have to a document if your traffic is limited?
Right.
Right, to that document.
That's
so
my favorite part, Sue.
Right? So like if you have 1,000 inbound links that were built to your site in the last month,
mm-hmm.
and you only had 100 people visit your site, like how the heck would that happen?
Yep. And it makes sense.
Yeah. Exactly.
They've got
so these are the footprints that they're starting to look at, and the things that they're starting to examine. And so I'm pretty much going to leave that. The one other thing that I'll say is that they're looking very hard at how they can track a particular person accessing a bunch of different sites.
Right.
So a lot of these things, like the whole first half of this, gets into how can they determine that these documents actually belong to a particular person.
Right.
Right. So that you actually have either you or your outsourcing team
Exactly.
are actually creating all these inbound links. So that's the gist of the idea of.
Can I repeat back to you what I think I understand as a novice?
Yeah.
For those of you listening, I don't consider myself an advanced military level software developer like Sue. I don't consider myself a prodigy level algorithm analyst like Jimmy. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat back what you're saying is the documents that are associated with an individual user can be anything. They can be the attempt to create multiple documents in the form of a website and logging into that website, and that document is owned by a single IP address that can be associated together in any way. Any way they can create a relationship
Right.
could be tracked. And I'll cut this out of the audio if you want me to, but I got to say something that you have said a couple times.
Okay.
And one of them, it was either you or Jimmy. I think it was you. Well, the NSA is completely part and parcel with Google. Not that that's a bad thing for national defense, etc. But therefore, when you're looking at the billions of dollars spent on doing that, why not use even a fragment of that code to then begin organizing, PBNs?
Exactly.
Okay. Did I say PBNs?
Yes, you did.
I'm sorry. I can delete that.
Inbound linking strategies.
Inbound linking strategies that are coherent. Not PBNs. Cancel clear. But continue.
All right. So we're going to get into, in the next video that we're going to have inside the members area, we're actually going to get into specifics about what this means to you and what you can do to mitigate these the footprints that they're trying to associate with your documents, so that you don't get caught in any of the future penalties that will be created by these patents.
Got it. Okay.
I would like to add one thing too. Some people are talking about saying that this update is here and now. I think people should know this has not hit yet.
Yeah. So, Jimmy, let's look a little bit about that. It was kind of serendipitous, when a lot of these other things, all of a sudden, in the last few weeks, there's several articles, not just one or two, but several, where major networks have been hit. And it seemed to come out at the same time as our SkyFall update. So what I hear you saying is that this is not necessarily even the full force, the full gale force of what we might expect to see as these are rolled out. Is that correct? Am I hearing you or understanding you guys correctly?
That's correct. I would say that right now what they're doing is just priming the pump, so to say. I mean, if you're going to go around and start grouping these documents together based off of traffic patterns or login patterns or IP patterns or whatever, and even linking patterns, why bother utilizing those resources on ones they already know about?
Gotcha.
So, like the influx of pure spam penalties that were happening.
Gotcha. Hey, Jimmy,
a lot of these other ones, they're just obvious because they're not hiding some of the basic things that they should be hiding when they're doing their link.
That's what I was getting at. Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
And so, all right, we'll get into that a little bit later. And again, this is the public release of this information. And I want everybody listening to understand that there are layers of how we teach. If you are not familiar with us at networkempire.com, and which is actually a subsidiary of themezoom.com. Themezoom.com was founded by Sue Bell and co-invented by myself, the software applications SEO. For years, we have taught extremely advanced SEO techniques that are now common today, such as SEO website silo architecture. We brought these to market. We're a long time advocate of fairly complex SEO and long-term sustainable strategies that have been now popularized in the industry. As a result, we have an insight into patents and what they mean and how to deal with them that other people do not, for the most part, that we have seen out there. So what this is just a way to communicate with the rest of the world the basics by providing too much information and specific tools and strategies to the general public, we would actually be doing you a disservice, because there is some basic training and understandings required. And some of this basic training is not necessarily the same as you would find in the general SEO community. I just wanted to give that preface, Sue.
Sure.
So that people would understand generally why this public release, we're not going to be revealing, we're not going to get into the patent line by line like we did with our advanced certified advisors, because it wouldn't make any sense, first of all, and the meaning would not be necessarily there for the average SEO out there. So let's continue with the flow that you're going on, Sue. It's really, really good, and I really love how this is rolling out. Thanks, Jimmy, for that. And what else do you want to add to this, if anything?
That's it.
Okay, that's it. With that, thank you and good night. No, just kidding. So with that information, this is the general patent rollout. There are several aspects of this. Now, I do want to say to everybody listening to this that we did first reveal the full gale force of line-by-line patent analysis with Jimmy and Sue. We also had Kevin Polly and Matt Cruz on the line, which is the amazing team that I'm privileged to work with at networkempire.com, themezoom.com. And essentially, most of the people on the call, these are long-term certified advisors. Some of them have been training with us for half a decade or more. Would you say, Sue? We have at least a half a decade?
Yep.
Yeah. And the reason that's important is that I asked them very specifically whether or not codename SkyFall was a little bit overblown. There was one person in the audience, in our close friends and certified advisors, who said that might have been a little bit dramatic. However, the rest of the community were quite profound, even some of them saying that, no, this should be called Holy Blank Update. Like, this is like, the perspective on the person who said it shouldn't be called this update was essentially, well, SEO is always changing. I'm always prepared for the worst. And he's a pretty robust warrior and pretty advanced. So the point is that for the average SEO in the industry, this is a big, huge, major change that's here and coming and rolling out. We want you to understand more about how this works. We are going to give you what Sue calls our members' minimum recommendations. In other words, we are going to start to implement these changes now. I'm going to be honest with you, because Sue wouldn't really say this publicly. She has been hedging against this update for like about 24 months. This is just the habit that I get in. I mean, ever since we rolled out website silo architecture in 2006, she looks at things like 3 or 4, maybe sometimes even 5 years ahead, maybe more. With Jimmy on board, it's been an amazing prediction. And so we've already started to implement best standards and specifically main recommendations that we do provide at networkempire.com. Networkempire-basic.com is our group of, it's a close community of members that get to learn about the basic aspects of what these things mean, about what these rollouts mean, what we would do in terms of the basic day-to-day. In other words, you don't have to understand how these patents work, but we will still tell you what you have to watch out for, how you have to protect your security, and so on and so forth. At the advanced levels, we can teach you specifically how to blow the minds of your clients by revealing to them how this stuff works and how to communicate that it's likely, and I don't mean probable, I mean likely, that other SEOs that your clients or customers might have are probably already screwing this up. Is that safe to say, Sue? Is possibly screwing it
Absolutely.
up? Absolutely.
Yeah. I would put money on it.
Okay. I just wanted to be sure, because you have a way of being very diplomatic and polite for everybody out there.
No.
You have a lot of class.
We called it SkyFall for a reason.
Okay, and I got to tell you guys that Sue is known in our organization with the dozens of outsourcers, the team members, the programmers and developers all over the world, of having a lot of class, being very diplomatic, and not saying anything. This SkyFall update was not named by me. Russell Wright is the neuromarketer behind the Network Empire. Okay, this was not. I was actually afraid to come out with the name SkyFall. When Jimmy and Sue decided that it was called SkyFall, I was concerned. So it actually had the exact opposite naming convention as it normally does. It came from the tech department, was rolled out to the other technicians and advanced technologists and prodigies, and then came back to me, and I was like, I actually had this hair-raising kind of goosebump, like, should we call it this? At the end of the day, I just want you guys to know this was not me. If we say the sky is falling, the sky is falling. So you need to begin to participate in Sue and Jimmy's recommendations on how to maintain. And honestly, the P word, PBN, Okay, we have never taught private blog network building. We support and assist our partners around the world who might still be using some of these tactics on how to create first aid, how to create prevention and recovery. Jimmy is a master at teaching this stuff. We teach something called PBBM, which is personal brand broadcasting networks. Still, even building these, we're going to start, Sue is going to have everyone start implementing these standards and understand how this patent actually works. And if you want to know very deeply how these things work and to start scaling these concepts in a more integrated way for your customers and clients, of course, our certified training is also available. Sue Bell, Jimmy Kelley, thank you so much for the amazing ride the last few days. I got to tell you, I never thought I'd look at patents for 36 hours straight, and I never thought I'd look at all of our testing for that much, but it's been a wild ride, very fun. I want to thank you both so much for being on my team, and I will release this to the rest of the world, and they can deal with it how they see fit. Thank you so much. And for those of you who are already members, we have a different release, a video, audio for you on the inside of networkempire.com and networkempirebasic.com. Thank you.